Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of The Appeal. I am Chris Maliszewski, founder and owner of Hail Hail Auctions, and with me as always, is my great friend Miss Sia Yasotorat with Brilliant Beam Media. Sia, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. How the heck are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm super, super excited for this show for many, many reasons. Namely because tattoos are something that I love. Obviously, I got a couple. I don't know. Do you have a tattoo, Sia?
What do you think? Do you think I have a tattoo?
No, I don't think you do.
And you would be correct. I am the biggest wuss out there. Needles and me do not get along, so no. I will cheer my
All right.
friends to
Well,
success with their tattoos.
I love it. Well, I did some research. I found out that 33% or one third of adults have a tattoo, and we're going to learn more about the reasons why and how people are getting them. So why don't we kick that intro? We'll talk for 1 or 2 more seconds, and then we'll welcome our guest on.
Let's do it.
Oh wait, my head's got to stop bobbing from that amazing introduction. I know I always, always, always suck up to you and tell you how much I love it, but it really is true. Like it is a rock star intro, so thank you for doing that as always. But as I mentioned, we're going to talk about tattoos, which I'm passionate about. I have a few good ones and a few bad ones. But something else I'm also extremely passionate about is mental health and overcoming trauma. And, that's something that our guest today helps folks like myself, frankly, and we'll learn a little bit about my journey with Healing Inc. Overcome. But see, we were talking backstage, and this whole conversation comes together because obviously Craig and Healing Inc. and Artists for Israel, and we'll talk about the work they just did in Israel. But you have some close connection to the Holocaust, and you wanted to talk briefly about something you're passionate about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I want to give a shout out to Robert J. Wolf. I actually met him on LinkedIn. And he wrote a book for his father. His father's history. His family's from Hungary, and his father survived the Holocaust as well. So the book is called "Not a Real Enemy," and it's such a fascinating read. It is, again, these individual stories. It humanizes the experience that people go through with hellacious, traumatic events. So I highly recommend everyone. I'll add it to the link for everybody to check it out. Check out Not a Real Enemy. There's tons of other great books out there and authors. So that's something I would
Yeah.
highly recommend. So I don't know if I'm losing a connection or it keeps telling me I'm losing connection for some odd reason, but hopefully I'm not.
No, I see you fine. But yeah, no, please check out that book. And, again, trauma and overcoming hellacious experiences is something I know all too well about. And being resilient and overcoming it as I have and as I'm still continuing to do would not have been possible without the help of our next guest, Craig Dershowitz, and the founder and CEO of Healing Inc. So, Sia, I'm going to kick you off and bring Craig on, and we're going to learn more about everything he does and who he is. So, Craig, why don't you come on up, my man? Now, you don't want to leave, Sia. You want to just keep hanging out, don't you? Ruh-roh.
Oh my gosh, I'm not frozen.
That's just me now. Is Craig there?
Yeah, he is. Hold on.
I
I'm
love
losing
going
power.
there.
We get
I
There
have
he
no
is.
power.
All right, my man. Dude, I can't say enough about you. I had the honor of getting to work with you, getting to hang out with you just about a year ago now. And so I did a really bad job of introducing you, and I don't want to do you a disservice. So, gosh, I just think the world of you. So please, Craig, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and why you're on today's show.
So first of all, I want to hear more about your journey. I didn't realize it impacted you so much. So I'll talk a little bit, and then I want to hear what you have to say. But I am the director of Artists for Israel, and one of our projects is called Healing Inc. Healing Inc. covers the scars of survivors of mass violence, first responders, and families of the victims. We started 2016 in Israel. We go back every year to Israel, and then we do a different American city, including Highland Park, each year. We actually started doing two, and I don't know. You wanted to hear about me? There's a lot. We have way too little time for that, but I'll talk about the organization, and I'll sprinkle in some stories. Chris, we were talking offline.
Please,
You'll let me
yes.
know which of those stories are legit. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, no, and we just came back. We're really the first organization to codify the idea of tattoos as healing. It's something that everyone has done on their own for so long. Healing tattooing is cathartic. Tattooing is taking control of your body. Tattooing does so much to aid and assist people. And we luckily brought together a team of artists that continues to grow that said, hey, if we know that this is something we've done individually for people, let's make this an organization that can support everybody.
Yeah, and gosh, supporting everybody is a really big task. And you asked earlier, and you made light of my journey, and my experience, of course, because you served me. Like I know firsthand the care that you guys give to trauma survivors and the process that you put everybody through to ensure it's a cathartic experience, as you said,
For
tattoos
sure.
can become. But what I want to do really quickly is you mentioned that Healing Inc. Is a project of Artists for Israel. So I want to give you just a quick minute or two. Talk about Artists for Israel, how that started, what the premise of it is, what you're doing with that project in itself.
Thank you. Artists for Israel prevents the spread of anti Semitic bigotry and anti Israel misunderstanding and helps heal communities affected by hate. We're actually, and this is the first time I think I'm publicly saying that, Artists for Israel is disbanding. After the October 7th massacre, we've decided to put all of our time, energy, and resources into the humanitarian relief projects that we do, Healing Inc. being one of them, and that we're expanding them not just in Israel, but around the world. There's too much need now for supporting and helping people heal. And so we're moving away from some of the other work that Artists for Israel did, and we're going to dedicate, you know, all of our time into those healing processes, those healing methodologies.
Man, I just got goosebumps, right? For those of you that don't know, Artists for Israel, my understanding, the premise was you would go into war-torn areas of the country and you would beautify them by graffiti on bridges and beautiful pieces of art. And from that, you met, and of course, you being tattooed yourself and understanding the process and the healing that could be done through that, right? Like you started to understand, and that's where this branch came off. But now what I'm hearing is you're focusing on people more so than ever before, right? And like that just gives me the
Absolutely.
goosebumps. And to take your efforts worldwide and not just focus on United States and Israel is going to be even that much more impactful. So how did that come to be? Like where did that mindset and that now vision come from?
So organizationally, we've been on that trajectory for 13 years, and we were doing it slowly but surely. Our first events were all about doing Israeli advocacy, and we then did so for 2 3 years. That's all we did, and then we did a trip where we brought artists to paint the bomb shelters in the south of Israel, in those very communities that were so affected by October 7th. And when we were there, the people were just coming out and hugging us and crying and thanking us, and we said to ourselves, advocacy is great, sure, but to make a direct impact on people. And so we learned as an organization, listen, we're not going to cure cancer, we're not going to solve world hunger, but what we can do is make the individual's day better. And by that, create some sort of ripple effect and come up with these new, exciting arts based ways that other people haven't figured out how to utilize yet to change the situation on the ground. And so, since that time that we started painting those bomb shelters, we were like, what other art forms can we avail ourselves of that'll change and impact people's lives in an immediate and great way? How else can we help individuals? And then the tattooing program was just one of those that stood out immediately, and the impact it had on individuals was incredible and right away, and it was so in our face that we said, hey, how can we not do more of that? And then again, after October 7th in Israel, it was really just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, where we said, we know what we're capable of. Why are we distracting ourselves with all this other work? And then step two was, now that we know we want to do this in Israel, we know that this could be beneficial around the world. So now that we're opening up some time and opportunity to do all of this humanitarian work, let's take that time and opportunity that we're saving and bring it everywhere that it can benefit people.
Gosh, like, dude, you're my hero. Like, I mean, and I don't mean that like, and I'm saying that, you know, in many ways, but like to transition and to take something so beautiful and Artist for Israel, and then to not be so, I'll say selfish, but protective of it, right? To say, no, this is working. This is what I'm doing. To now say, hey, here's how I can help differently and not only serve others, right? But in a way, I got to believe it serves yourself. I mean, hell, you wouldn't have met me if you didn't. I'm just kidding, right? Like, but
we had great sandwiches. There was great food.
We had glizzies. We had glizzies.
We'll talk about all right. That. We didn't just, yeah, for sure.
We had glizzies. But truly, like, and I want to say, right? So I want to hear a little bit about what you just did in Israel. But what I want to say is, first off, man, thank you, right? Thank you for the work you do because it impacted my life. What I have on my right arm now is forever a positive memory of a terrible experience. It's an experience that I think about every day and that I carry with me forever. But to have this beautiful piece of art and this just gorgeous memory of an experience related to that gives me hope, and it just gives me a zest for life, and it gives me perspective. So not only are you giving tattoos and the work you do, but these are the types of sentiments you're bringing on folks like myself. So I love you for it. And thank you.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. Where the reactions that we get from individuals, and the first time we did it, we're like, oh, it would be a great idea. Let's just kind of, let's do it and see what happens. And the responses that we got, and everyone's an individual and how it affects them changes. But we've had people tell us, like, I was going to commit suicide, and I saw this tattoo and remembered that day. Or even something, can I tell you a silly story?
Of course, please.
I mean, to us, this might, like, we don't get it because we're not in that mindset. But I had someone call one of my artists. It was like from Israel. So it was like 3 a.m, our time here. And he's like, I'm wearing shorts, and my artist is like, cool, I'm wearing pajamas. Like, why are we, like, who is this? Like, he just kind of woke it up. The phone woke him. And the guy explains to him, he figured out who it was. He had this horrible disfigurement on his leg from a bomb that had gone off, too close to him. And he hadn't gone to the beach in like 10 years. And he hadn't worn shorts. And we're talking Israel in the summer is hot. And he hadn't worn shorts because he was so embarrassed by his leg. And now he got this tattoo. And maybe you and I were like, oh, wearing shorts, big deal, not a big deal. No, but for this guy in 90-degree weather with like 102% humidity to not be able to dress himself how he wants and to be afraid of someone, God forbid, seeing his leg, of which he had nothing as to why his leg looked like that, to finally feel liberated and free, the quality of life change was so important. And we have, at this point, 500 plus stories of all different things, that being one of them.
Man, God, like, I didn't have a disfigurement, right? Like, and I just got to say, I'm honored to be one of 500 now. And I will say firsthand the process of which you, first off, vet, recipients of your gifts, and how you go about obtaining the services of amazing tattoo artists like Patrick, who I was so luckily paired with, and Speakeasy Tattoo in Chicago, who I've gone back now for a few more pieces, and we have some more sessions scheduled right in the future. But please, first off, before I turn it back to you, scan that QR code. You're going to go directly to Healing Inc. You're going to find out more about the work of Craig and how you can support them. But, the process, Craig, really quickly, let's talk about how you decide which communities to go into, how Highland Park was chosen again, as you said, but let's talk a little bit about how you serve folks like myself. What's that process look like?
Our very first commitment was to Israel. That's where this started. And after the success of that, the few months later, we said, okay, this is so great, we have to bring it out. What else can we do that makes sense? And obviously, the first thing you think about is 9/11 in New York, when this country first really became aware of terrorism. And so that was an obvious connecting point. So we did that, again, thinking, we'll see how it goes. And I don't remember, we tattooed like 50, 60 survivors and first responders to 9/11. And it was so impactful and meaningful for all of those people And you mentioned this before, for the artists themselves to really feel like they were able to do something and help heal. These were all New York artists who had been carrying around that struggle within them. So just the community it built. And ever since then, listen, we don't have to get political, but there's more than enough incidents of mass violence in this country that we could do 2 of these a day and take us years to catch up. But it really comes down to which communities maybe haven't gotten the support that they need. Seems to be that some incidents of shootings and what have you capture the public attention and others less so. So if there's not enough other resources in town will come if we get a call or a request from someone in the community. And it's also, is it a place that we know people will be responsive to tattooing as something healing? We're not going to go into an Orthodox Jewish community of 90-year-old men. They're just not going to do it. So it's got to be someplace where we know there's people like you, Chris, who would
Crazy
resonate
animals.
with them. The opposite of a 90-year-old Orthodox Jewish man. But no, we'll go into a place where we know we've got great tattoo artists available, where we know we've got a younger audience, where we've got an audience that's kind of aware. And I just learned this recently. We've kind of become the place or the organization to reach out to if you've got a lot of first responders, because, Chris, you and I think, have an understanding of our mental health now, right? Working through this process and just being, kind of aware people. But we've been brought back to communities because the first responders are all macho and they refuse to seek therapy. So we're now kind of becoming that group that, like, oh, I'll go there and get therapy. We don't offer the therapy services, but I'll go to that thing that this resilience center is doing because tattoos are cool, and I won't feel like, I'm still a man if I get a tattoo. And then they kind of walk in and, like, surprise, like, there are gonna be people there that you could talk
I'm
to about your
healed.
emotions. Like, not that that's part of what we do, and many people don't, but we've got our support staff, and so the guy's getting a tattoo, and then he's like, oh, and this was co-sponsored by this support group, or oh, there's this woman over there with a big badge that says emotional support. Maybe I'll go talk to her, because I'm in a tattoo shop. So this is okay for me to do this here. So again, it really depends. When there's a lot of, like, a big first responder network too, like a lot of police officers, firemen, it seems to be that's where we go because we're really able to talk to those people. So to answer your question, sorry, I babble. There's
No, I
no
love
rhyme
it.
or reason. Good, because it's you and I. We're gonna have fun here. But
Yeah.
there's no way to say there's no test as to where we're gonna go, which community we're gonna go to. It just has to kind of click all the boxes at the right time.
I love it. Yeah. And, with that all being said, right, there are so many other, one of my great friends, Jamie Rachbrook, is, hashtagging veterans here in the comments, right? Like, the list goes on and on of the work I'm doing with Walking Tall, and I'm learning about mental health of various communities, right? I was just in Seattle at the end of May working with first responders. Now my
Mm-hmm.
wheels are spinning going, hey, I need to connect Craig with those guys up there because we could break down those barriers that you're talking about, right? Like, fortunately for me, I was born, like, vulnerable and, like, emotional, and I like to have tattoos, right? But the one thing you said that I wanted to speak on really quickly is the experience for the artists themselves. And I highlighted Patrick Cornolo with Speakeasy. He's just been amazing, provided great care for me during my process of which it was chaotic, if you remember. But,
Let's not
with all
talk about
that,
that.
yeah, exactly. But nevertheless, right? Like, he and I still stay in touch, and I'm going back
Yeah.
to him. So, like, how do you acquire these artists? Because I think it should be very well discussed what they do as well for your organization.
First of all, shout out to Patrick. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
being part of it. He's the man. Yeah, the artist, we're so lucky because it started with, we got to bring the world's greatest artist, the most well-known artist, and that both of those pieces are incredibly important. Obviously, everyone's got to get the most beautiful tattoo they can, but it's really the artist with the right emotional mindset, the artist that's going into it because they want to help, they want to heal, and everything now at this point is word of mouth, right? The tattoo community is still relatively small, at least in that kind of upper echelon, and so I'll find out real quick. Either someone recommends the artist. This trip we just did to Israel was curated by an artist who had gone back before. It was the easiest job I ever did. I just sat back and let him tell me who should come. Or word gets out like, oh, that person's terrific. You definitely want them with you. They definitely know how to talk to their recipients. They've got a great heart. And it's equally important, like you picked up on what I was saying, it's equally important for those artists to be part of it because everyone feels powerless and hopeless when one of these events happen, right? It really robs us of our ability to understand the world, our ability to feel like we're effective in creating how this world is. And so they get a chance to kind of give back. And each community that we do in the States, the tattoo artists are from that location. And so really it's all about everyone being together and sharing. They went through it too. Maybe they weren't at the particular parade in this case, but they had a family member who was, or they were planning on going, or just, they wake up and see the newspaper and they see the street that they were on yesterday had something horrific happen on it. So it's really this great way of everyone to come back together and try to reassert some sense of normal in their lives and to help one another to give and raise each other. God, I
Yeah.
sound hokey.
No, dude, you sound like a leader. That's what you sound like. And I'm not just saying that because I care about you and the work you do. Like this forward thinking and this taking an industry and a passion that, long ago was considered to be the outcast of society if someone looked like you, right? With all the tattoos you have. But something funny you said, right? Something funny you said I want to talk about briefly, and I know maybe it's going to be difficult for you, but you made light of, not tattooing 90-year-old Orthodox Jews, right? And I want to ask you, going into Israel and having some of these stories like you do with, the Jewish community, it's my understanding, and I wanted to ask you that, that is a taboo circumstance. It is a taboo process in that culture and that religion. So if you don't mind, talk about what is that mindset, with being a Jewish man or woman and now getting tattooed and the change in mentality.
So this I could talk about a lot, so you're gonna have to interrupt me when it gets too long. First of all, there's a lot of misconception about what Torah, the Bible, says about tattooing. And so we actually did an interview with 4 different rabbis representing 4 different levels or sects of the Jewish community. And I'm happy to have you share it with your community. I'll send them to you afterwards. Basically, the Bible does not say you can't get a tattoo. It says that you can't cut yourself. It's actually probably the translation means more like self-harm than tattooing. But the oral tradition and the rabbis have since kind of come out and been like, well, tattooing is way too close. Let's not do it. But every rabbi that we've spoken to, including one who's trying to rewrite a law inside Judaism, is saying that what we do falls under exceptions that are allowed. So there's this term pikuah nefesh, which loosely translated means to save a life. And it just doesn't mean like if someone, you could break Shabbat because someone's about to get shot and you have to jump in. It can mean a spiritual, emotional life as well. So if these tattoos are taking people who are on the cusp of some horrific mental whatever, or they don't go to the beach, right? Their life is some way really hampered or cut short because of this, then giving a tattoo is by all means justified. And we've actually had, of course, most of the guys who come to us are not very observant, but we've had people come in with their yarmulkes on and they've said, listen, I spoke to my rabbis. I know this is something that might help and nothing else is helping right now. And, we had one where the 2 guys who were wearing yarmulkes happened to be sitting next to each other. That's just how like the layout worked. And they, so of course they're like, did you do this on purpose? But they had this brilliant conversation. And it was like, Rabbi so-and-so from Poland in the 1700s said this, and this guy said that. And they get really deep on it. But at the end of the day, it's a simple thing of, will this elevate my soul? Will this make my daily existence better? Will it pick me up from this black hole that I'm in, from this depression I can't come out of? And if it can do that, then there is no rabbi in the world who's going to say, no, you can't get tattooed if that's what it's going to do for you. And so, yeah.
You told me to cut you off. That was like mic drop. Listen, say that again, please, to save a life. How did you say that?
The term in Hebrew is pikuah nefesh.
Okay.
And
you're gonna have to spell that for me. Like to me, that's exactly what it's about, right? Like if a tattoo could save somebody's life, like why by all means would anybody restrict them from doing that? And the work you're doing and the clarification you just provided, like makes me even respect you more, right? Like it's forward thinking, it's progressive, but it's also speaking to you authentically, right? Like you want to be tattooed and you found a way and created a perspective that I believe in as well. And promoting it, and our lives are being saved because of it, dude. Like that's a leader. And so I want to just say, what the work you do doesn't come free, right? Like there's a lot of expenses, the travel expenses, et cetera, et cetera. So briefly talk a little bit about how you guys go about raising funds, how somebody's watching can help support you if they appreciate all the work you're doing.
I appreciate that. And of course, I'm glad to share that with everybody. We have raised money from individual donors. Let me just step back. The tattoos are completely free for the people
Yep.
getting them. The process for the people getting them is free. And the artists who are incredible, like Patrick, all donate their time and talents. So they are not charging for the tattoos. We're not paying them for giving it. These guys are all just fully on doing everything in their power to help. But
Exactly.
as you said, there are a ton of expenses, especially with travel, especially when we're going outside of the country and bringing artists with us. It's been individuals who donate, and there's not enough of them because when it comes to tattooing, there is all of this drama around it. There's all of these misconceptions. So we need as many people, and we need small donations from younger people who get it. The older, the guys out there donating billions of dollars to build a hospital wing, they don't get this or appreciate it yet. So for the others, you can go to healinginc.org and click on the donate button. Everything will get you there. You can also donate through Artists for Israel right now on PayPal with Donated Artists for Israel, on Zelle at Donated Artists for Israel. Anywhere you can donate. We don't do a good job of raising the money, but we're great at having the locations where you can give it if you want.
Listen,
healinginc.org.
Brother, listen, I'm going to tell you, as has been the case the last 2 years of my life, and I was so fortunate, and I say this, right? Like we joked about my experience. I went through the entire process. We had this beautiful arrangement set up for me to get my tattoo and what I believed was going to be the most healing environment given my experience, so on and so forth. But the world had other plans for us, and we had to shift quickly. And I was so then fortunate not to get a tattoo that day, but to just spend time with you and your crew and meet all the artists. And you and I went to Portillo's. Shout out to Portillo's, right? Like
Definitely.
we got glizzies and
Sponsorship.
hot dogs, and yeah, we just crushed it. Chocolate cake shakes galore. Like so that's like when you and I became like friends in the sense that, yeah, you live in California, I'm in Chicago. We don't always stay in touch, but like I text you now and again, you text me, I'm showing you my artwork, I'm checking in on you after what happened October 7th. Like we care about each other because that bond, right, was created through tattoos. And so I just want to just give you a shout out and just talk one more thing. Like we mentioned, I had this environment set up where I was going to get a tattoo in the most unique experience possible. And that's the kind of work you guys are not only doing. It's not just the tattoo, but you're doing above and beyond work. So talk briefly about some of the amazing places you've tattooed, like what's been your favorite. I want people to really get an understanding of how above and beyond you go.
So first of all, I have to thank you for reaching out on October 7th. You have no idea. I'm going to get emotional now. Like that ripped up the Jewish community. And I think anyone with a conscience out there, like ripped us apart. And so many people didn't care, it felt like. And so to get messages from you and those that did care was just in the moment, we needed that bit of air and that bit of light. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And my wife's Israeli, her family was there. I lost people very close to me. So to know that just from around the world that others were aware. So thank you so much for that.
Of course.
Where we tattoo is always intentional. So you asked me which one was the most important to me. I'll give you two. The first time we ever did this, we tattooed at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem next to Francis Bacon's Basquiat's, mummies. Like it was crazy I'm like, wait a minute, I'm in a museum after hours surrounded by these priceless paintings. And we did it there twice. The second time they let me go into the storage room and I'm alone in the storage room. Like, I'm from the hood in Brooklyn. Like, you should not trust me. I didn't have anywhere to like fence this stuff, but just to be surrounded by that. And it was incredible for the tattoo artists and the recipients because they felt like they were being respected, right? When's the last time you see a tattoo artist standing next to a Magritte or whoever, right? That was incredible. And then as a New Yorker, we did the 9/11 event at the Apollo Theater, which was insane. And I'm just like, where can we? Because they took us behind stage, and I'm always like pushing the envelope. They're like, you want to go on the roof? And you could touch the actual Apollo sign from the roof. I was like, yeah, of
Yes,
course I do. So,
dude.
that's let's go. But everywhere we go, the community always has a special location that means something to them, right? We were able to be at the art center over by you guys.
Hmm.
There's always somewhere, and again, it's just kind of like, not to be all kooky and spiritual, but like the right place reveals itself, because the right place is what is the heart of that community. So while the Apollo was, so special to me, I just never thought I'd be at the Apollo, right?
Sure.
And I still wasn't for, my ability to perform anything. And to be at the Israel Museum and just like walking around, they happen to have an IYW exhibit while I was there. He's one of my favorite contemporary artists.
Awesome.
And I'm just like touching his stuff. I'm like, is anyone on their cameras? Like, I'm just poking the things to see if I can get away with it. But really, like, every community, there's their place, right? There's the place. And so it just works. It's what makes the people there feel home and feel safe and secure. And what makes the artists feel like, shoot, the people here really respect my art and they respect what I'm doing. So everywhere is my favorite place, I guess, is the cheesy answer.
Yeah, but no, I mean, listen, I know with certainty like the work that goes in and the effort that is put forth in finding these places, and it doesn't have to be the most elaborate, as you said. Finding the heart of the community is what matters most. And like you said, right, it reveals itself. And I was joking earlier, like I really believe that what happened on my day of when I was going to get my tattoo and our change of plans and us hanging out was for future things, right? You're talking about, well, we're not doing a great job of raising money and we don't, and I'm thinking, Craig, I have this idea and I have, let's partner and do this. And my company now can support you in such better ways. So what I want to say to you, man, is I am here for you, and Hail Auctions and Brilliant Beam Media, we are going to find ways to support you. We're going to find ways to get the word out, because I believe wholeheartedly in the power of tattooing and the healing effects it has. And I will be a spokesperson for Healing Inc. and you as a person till the day I'm dead. So before we sign off, man, I just want to say, we also have a great sponsor that supports me, and I want to just take 20 seconds to shout out Tausi Brands and the work they do. So see you backstage. If you don't mind, real quick, before we let Craig, let folks know where they could find him before we sign off, please run that commercial.
Falling asleep with your head in the wrong position is a pain in the neck. You deserve Tausi Comfort for head, neck, and back support. Go to tausibrands.com and get your comfort on.
Craig, we got to get you one of those pillows for all your travels. And, it would be a really good conversation to have. I want to introduce you to Janice Chokran, because as much traveling as you guys do, right, it'd be a nice gift for your artists. But that's another conversation for another time. So, man, we could go on for hours, and I'm going to have you back on. I want to keep highlighting the events you do, and I want to keep promoting the work that you do, and we want to keep raising money for you. So in the spirit of that, let folks know how they could connect with you, anywhere they could contact you, reach out if they have ideas or they're artists themselves. Like, how can people connect with you to collaborate?
I love it. You can get me directly, Craig, Craig, at healinginc.org. You can go to the website, www.healinginc.org, the Instagram, healinginc.org. Yeah, that's it. It's the Instagram, healinginc.org. And if you can't get us there, Artists for Israel, before that transition is complete, we're still all over artists4israel.org. People can donate through any of that, but also just hit me up. We're still young and scrappy enough that if people have ideas and ways to support or want to get involved, I'll probably be the one answering the email. So let's do it. Come up with your best ideas.
Yeah, listen, and that's, as you know me, I'm an ideas guy, and as you get to know Sia, she's an ideas gal, and I just am so excited now about the opportunity for us to work together in a different capacity and spread the word and the mission of Healing Inc. So, man, I just want to say thank you. And before we sign off, is there anything else you want to just highlight about Healing Inc. and the work it is that you do before we move about our day?
Two things. We tattooed 129 survivors of October 7th last week. So incredible the way the whole community came out to do that. And Chris, you get it and you mention it, but I always have to do it a second, third time. Our artists, man, They all give of their time, their energy, their heart. And so none of us, we get the credit, but it's really the artist, Patrick, and everyone else who's worked with us that deserve all the praise. Support your local tattoo artists. They're nicer people than you think. Get some ink done, man. It's it's this generation. It's not taboo anymore. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You're right. And I apologize. We're going to keep the conversation going behind the scenes. I want to hear a little bit about the 120 so odd people that you mentioned that you served in Israel. Gosh, like you said, we can go on and on. That alone just gave me goosebumps, and I can't imagine that environment and that experience. So thank you for that work. And get a tattoo. Like what's there to lose, right? Like look at how professional and how well spoken you are. Like the stereotypes are gone, the stigma is broken, and man, I can't help but thank you enough and let you know I love you for all the work you do and what you've done for me. And let's have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. So see, let's kick that outro.